Okay, this is a bit of a test case. I'm going to go over some basic knots that I'm using at forest school. I'm actually a climbing instructor, so I use a lot of different knots. I'm just going to talk about the knots and show you how I tie them and what they'd be used for. This is actually my skipping rope that I use when I go to the climbing gym. And if this test case turns out to be useful, then I use it. If not, that's alright too. So first what I'll do is a bit of a figure eight. So you can do a figure eight in what's called a bite. Figure eight on a knot is when you attach a rope to itself. What I do is take a bite, which is a folded rope, twist it over, and then if I went up through there, I would have done an overhand knot on a bite, which is a great knot for making a loop that you can then attach to the ground and if you're pegging out a tent. But if I go around again and then down through, I made a figure eight on a bite. You can always dress the knot and tighten the knot and make it look a lot nicer. But again, it's a nice way of making a loop, and that knot is super solid, especially after you dress it and tighten it by pulling it opposite ways. You can make that knot another way by first making an alien head, as I tell the kids, which is also just a bite in the rope, folding the rope. Strangle the alien, and then stab him through the face. You then have the first bit of a figure eight knot. You can move that anywhere you like. You need quite a bit of rope to kind of like retrace it. But then if you wanted to attach to something, that you could then wrap it around that thing. Right now I'm just using my walking stick. I'll put my foot underneath it so you can see what's going on. So it's attached to it, however big you want the loop, keep it about that size. You then literally trace exactly what the knot is already doing. So you can see the knot's going around the back, so I go around the back. It's going down the front, so I go down the front. Under, and then up through. It's a bit of a messy looking knot at the moment, so I can just dress it by kind of making everything match up, shifting the rope around. And you can always tighten the knot as well, just like you did before. And then you've got it fixed on an object. So it's a figure eight knot, looks like an 8. It's a nice easy one to learn. Children like learning that one because I tell them that you can stab an alien through the face. Some other knots that I use I might do the square and the shear lashing right now because I'll just do knots at the moment. I'll do lashing in a different one. Lashing is when you attach a rope to an object, two objects together. A hitch is when you attach a rope to an object, and a knot is when you attach a rope to itself. So I often use, I don't think this one's covered as much in the forest school, but I often use a good old bowline to attach to an object. You make a hole. I tell the kids it's like a number 9. Rabbit comes out the hole, goes around the tree. This bit's going to be the tree. Goes back down the hole. And as you can see, as you pull that strand, it would tighten up this loop. Squash the rope inside. Bowlines are great for attaching ropes to trees, things like that. And again, like I said, I don't think it's used as much in forest school, but I do use it quite a lot because I think it's really useful. Let's do clove hitch. I've done 2 circles, as you can see. I slide my right circle over my left circle, and then if I want to attach it to something, I simply take that thing, slide it on down, and pull. I've done myself a beautiful clove hitch. That can also be done. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do it upside down so that the camera can see it by wrapping it around, make it across, wrap it around again, and then tuck it back through where you've crossed it. And you've done yourself a nice little clove hitch there, you can see. That's for attaching it without sliding it onto something. That's when you want to attach it to something. Beautiful little clove hitch. Clove hitches are great little knots. I often use round turn. So clove hitches I use quite a lot to start lots of arts and crafts, things like that. In rock climbing you use it quite a lot because it's actually quite an adjustable knot, and I'll show you what I mean by that once I retie it because I've untied it. So it's adjustable because if I want like this end to be longer, Oh, I've not tied it properly. Great. Bear with me. Get it back to where it was a second ago. There we are. So if I want one end, the one with the knot in it, to be longer, I can literally just pull this out and then pull that, and it's easily adjusts the length of the rope. So that's one that's very handy, attaching ropes to trees and branches that you want to be able to tighten, because you can add friction to them and tighten up your tent or your tarpaulin if you want to. Really useful, really simple to tie as well. After he ties it wrong. So I use clove hitches quite a lot. I was going to do one last one. It's a round turn 2 half hitches. I actually use this in raft building quite a lot. What we do is we have the children build a loop at one end. We end up pulling the rope through to make a bit of a trucker's hitch. We tend to, well, I'll just do it since I'm doing it anyway. I was tying an overhand knot with a loop in it there. It's a bit of a slippery hitch, that would be. That's going to give me a little bit of a chance to kind of like pinch the rope there. So I've done a little bit of a slippery hitch. You can see it's going to move, just a single one. Here, I can now put that around something. In raft building, we obviously use giant barrels, but you can use trees, whatever you want to use when for school. When you're building anything, patch it back up and through. There's your round turn. There's your round turn in that loop anyway. What I tend to do is get a child to pinch that bit while I do a half hitch. I tell them to make the letter D or the number 4 come up through. I'm having a hard time doing this at the same time as making a video. And then I make the number 4 and then go down through it. You can kind of see what's happened there, but not the best example of a round turn 2 half hitches. I'll do it onto a stick without doing the whole loop thing, because it's hard with an imaginary barrel or tree. So again, you attach it, put it around whatever object is you're attaching it to. There's your round turn. Mine's automatically crossed over each other. It's not a bad thing because it gets a bit of friction. I do like a number 4. Oh, can you see that? And then through to the left. And then the letter D. And then through to the right. There's my round turn 2 half hitches. I would actually personally do 2 hitches one direction, 2 hitches the other direction. But this is literally what we use to tie off abseils at work. Really quick, easy knot to tie, and it works. That round turn just adds a little bit of extra friction. I just thought of another knot to tie, but I can't remember what it was. I use this quite a bit to attach 2 ropes together, and again, I don't think this is one that forest school uses very often, but I use opposing fisherman knots. So this is going to be 2 ends of one rope. I'm going to attach them together. So what I tend to do is make a circle, make another circle, but crossing over where I started, and then when I get to that crossover, going up through. I do the exact same thing on the other end, the opposing side. Make a circle, go around on top, up through. And these are, that one's tied wrong. I'm going to try again. It's forest school, isn't it? You can't get everything perfect the first time. Round, round again, up through. And as I pull, those are opposing fisherman's knots. As I pull, they tighten each other up. Great way for connecting 2 ropes, or just building necklaces like I've got here. I've got my necklace on. It's literally got the same thing. That's a good way of making necklaces for the kids. Using paracord, you pull that apart, and just the size of the necklace you want. Put a little piece of wood on there. You got yourself a cool little necklace. We'll see if this works.